I am back. Sorry for the little week hiatus I took. Just to clear it up. I was just I was a little sick last week. I had a lot of exams. I'm in college, so I had to get a lot of that done. Especially because this week I really wanted to put a lot of effort into trying to make some really good and interesting videos for the pay-per-view this weekend, and especially trying to get out some creative content and, kind of not just copy and pasting what everybody else does. So, in today's video, we are going to be discussing what is at stake for UFC 320. Now, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Pretty much in this video, I just want to go over what is at stake for the three biggest fights for each guys on the pay-per-view card this Saturday. I'm very excited for this card. I don't see a lot of hype for it, which I can understand. Probably going to maybe make a video about that as well. But also later this week, I will have the picks and preview and breakdown of this upcoming pay-per-view this Saturday, UFC 320. And I will also most likely be breaking down the press conference and hopefully some other great, MMA UFC news drops on the feed so we can make some good content. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's get right into the freaking video, guys. Okay, what is at stake for Khalil Rountree? Now, Khalil will finally get a chance to prove where he actually stands among the top of the light heavyweight division. And now, I know a lot of y'all will probably say, man, Khalil's good, he's a top flight light heavyweight. Well, let's think about it here for a second. His best win before he fought Alex Pereira in the title fight was Anthony Smith, and we all know Anthony Smith is not good, especially during that time. And he should have lost that fight to Dustin Jacoby. If you watched it, if you know, Dustin Jacoby won that fight. And also there's the discussion of, was Jamal Hill ever even that good to begin with? To win the title, he beat a very old Glover Teixeira after Glover was in a brutal scrap with Yuri Prochazka, who we know Yuri is really that guy. And we'll get into Yuri in just a second. And also, Salt Lake City, Utah, which is where Khalil Rountree fought Alex Pereira in his title shot opportunity. We all know a lot of fluky and weird things happen in Salt Lake City, Utah, with the elevation and such. And this weekend, he'll have the chance to prove that, is he as good, and does he flat out dominate a solid light heavyweight guy like Jamal Hill? And did he really have a good performance against Alex Pereira, and then Pereira came on later and was able to defeat him? Like, is he really up there, a top flight guy that is on Yuri's level in the light heavyweight division? And Yuri is a proven guy. He's a former champion. And a win for Khalil is big, because when you beat a guy like Yuri, because besides Magomed and Alex Pereira, Yuri is that guy. We know Yuri is good. He's beat Hill. He's beat Rakic. He's beat Ozdemir. We know how good Yuri Prochazka is. He's beat Dominic Reyes. Khalil's best win is Jamal Hill. And you can question Jamal Hill in his entirety as a career fighter. But even just a close fight, and for sure a win for Khalil, is big, and you will get to, with the win like that against Yuri, you will be able to slay. Khalil was one of the best light heavyweights during that time. And that's what's at stake for Khalil Rountree. And if he loses, you're going to be able to keep making that argument of Khalil, like he kind of just got some weird opportunities here and there. If he goes out there, and especially if he gets flatlined by Yuri, which I don't think necessarily will happen. Nevertheless, though, this is a big fight for Khalil for his career and how he will be remembered, because he is an older guy. So, let's move on to Yuri Prochazka. What is at stake? What is at stake for Yuri Prochazka? Now, a title shot is at stake, especially with a knockout and a Magomed win. And this ties into what I have to say next. He has a chance to become a borderline superstar. If you go on X, which I'm only on X, if you go on any social media right now, and YouTube, Everybody, for this weekend, for these fights, mainly everyone is talking about Yuri. This is at least my perspective, okay? Most of the hype is for this Yuri Khalil Roundtree fight. I mean, that'll prove a point with Pereira that we'll get into later, but everybody's talking about Yuri. Everybody's posting these crazy pictures that Yuri has and how cool Yuri is, which he is. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's an awesome fighter. Not only an awesome fighter, but an awesome character in this UFC universe, you know? So that ties into that. He has a good shot. Even though Olberg just had that nasty KO over Dominic Reyes, he has a real shot of going ahead and getting that title shot if Magomed wins Saturday night because of his ability to sell fights. And I just feel like with every Yuri fight, he just grows in popularity and people become real diehard fans of Yuri. Like, I love watching the fights, but there's only a few guys that when they go fight, I get like nervous for and really, really pull hard for them to win. Yuri's one of those guys. And with a win over Roundtree, he will have one of the best resumes in light heavyweight history. I'd say history. I mean, he would have Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, Glover Teixeira, Anthony Rakic, Jamal Hill, and possibly Roundtree. You compare that to the other guys, of course, not your Daniel Cormier's, your John Jones, even Alex Pereira, but that's a dang good resume. And he will be, when you talk about the light heavyweight division, you will say Yuri's name for sure, in tune with his popularity and his fighting ability and entertainment value. And also, I feel like if he loses, the discussion of he was never that good will begin immediately because people will undervalue an Ozdemir win, a Reyes win, Rakic win. You can go the old route with Glover, and you can devalue that Jamal Hill win, as we talked about a while ago with Khalil. And I don't want that to happen because if Alex never moved up, this is quite possibly still your light heavyweight champion, barring Magomed Ankalaev. And that's facts, okay? So if Pereira never moves up, Yuri quite possibly still the champ or just recently lost the belt. He is that good, and I do not want those claims being said about my man Yuri Prochazka, because would they win? Like, it's going to be hard for him to get the belt back, no matter who wins Saturday night. So we really need to just keep winning, Yuri, so we can stat pad that history book page for you. Okay? So Yuri Prochazka, I feel like if he loses this fight, he loses everything that he's built up to at this point in his career, I feel like. So, there's a lot at stake for Yuri in this Khalil Roundtree fight. Moving on to what's at stake for Corey the Sandman Sandhagen. Now, a chance to shock the world this Saturday night against Merab Dvalishvili. And this is not one of those, there's a difference between shocking the world and being a title challenger and people thinking the fight is going to be close before the fight happens. Because nobody thinks this fight is going to be close, including me. And if he shocks the world, that is such a good opportunity for Corey Sandhagen because he will have, that adds so much more marketability to Corey Sandhagen if he goes in there as a huge underdog he is and wins. I mean, Holly Holm, who of course say Holly Holm beats Miesha Tate for the title instead of Ronda Rousey, right? And it's not, Ronda Rousey was huge, of course, so that plays into it, but she was a huge underdog. And a lot of people knew who Holly Holm was because she got that huge underdog win. Same thing with Leon Edwards. I feel like Leon got way bigger. And of course, you become champ. But when Merab beat Sean was a pretty big underdog. And people thought Merab was going to win. So it really didn't do much to bolster Merab winning the title against Sean because we already knew he was going to win. Or if you even go to closer title fights in history. Just that big underdog win is huge for a guy, especially like Sandhagen, right? So, and a win for Corey, especially a decisive one where there's no chance for a rematch, leads to great fights and is better for the UFC in general. It just is. Say what you want about the whole situation and wrestlers and the Caucasus region. Say what you will, but it is the truth. It is the truth. And I mean, just think of the fights we get. That will practically guarantee a Petr Yan rematch for the belt. A chance for not only Yan to get back the belt, but for a chance for just another amazing fight like they had before. What would you rather see? Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan, or Corey Sandhagen versus Petr Yan for the title? You know what you would rather see. And we get a possible, which this is more down the line, you get a possible Sugar Sean fight, and just the title makes the fight bigger, of course, and that is just a great stylistic fight. So on top of everybody already wanting to watch that fight, we've been wanting to watch that fight, we've been wanting that fight to happen, add the title to that, that's bigger. Great for the fans, great for the UFC, great for everything if that happens. This sounds like Merab hating, but we're going to talk about Merab next, and I promise you, I'm not a Merab hater whatsoever. I'm just speaking what is true. But on the downside of what's at stake for Corey Sandhagen, a rematch with Umar. A rematch with Umar, even if he wins, and that is so great for Corey, we have a possible Umar rematch. And that is not enticing. And say what you will, but the Nurmagomedovs and the Ivs and the Caucasus guys, they get a bump from the UFC. They just do. They get preferential treatment. So if Umar at UFC 321 beats Mario Bautista, is Umar skipping the line for Petr? No, probably not, because the freaking idiots don't fight that often. So, but then say Sean gets a good win somehow, even though it probably wouldn't be the best win. He probably doesn't even deserve the title fight. Are we going to have to sit through Umar Corey too? Or are we going to get to see if Corey beats Yan? Or even if Yan were to win, are we going to see Sean get that fight? And just think, with the Corey win, we get some sick fights, bantamweight title fights. We get sick fights. But then there's that Umar. And Umar is a pretty sick fighter. But it's just Umar, Petr Yan, fight we want to see. Umar, Sean, probably be a great fight, right? I'm not complaining about Umar necessarily getting the title shot. I'm mainly complaining if we would have to sit through a Umar-Corey rematch because we want fresh fights for the most part. You make an exception for a Sandhagen-Yan rematch, of course, because that fight was sick. And who wouldn't want to watch that fight fresh for the actual title and not just the interim title? So, and a loss, it most likely will happen, it'll just go to the point that Corey was always good. He'll always be he was a good bantamweight during his time. But he could never beat the elite guys. Could never beat Merab. He couldn't beat Umar. Lost to Aljo. And of course there's still chances for him to fight. But think of he's coming off a Figueiredo win. And Figueiredo looked awful. Figueiredo's older, smaller. He was 125er. Another recent win, Marlon Vera. That loss to Umar. So a loss, it'll only go to the fact and to demean Corey Sandhagen, which isn't necessarily fair. But, you look at his resume, beat some good guys. Did he ever beat anybody elite? Not really. Lost to Yan, So that is what's at stake for Corey Sandhagen Saturday night. We're going to find out Saturday night, baby. What is at stake for Merab Dvalishvili, the Machine? If he wins, he will solidify, which he already is in my eyes and most people's eyes, as the bantamweight GOAT, deservingly. Because he will break the record for most title defenses. And on top of that, look at his resume before he fought for the title. He has the best resume at bantamweight in the history of the division. By far, with the most title defenses, already the GOAT of the bantamweight division, really. But that only solidifies him there as the bantamweight GOAT. And, add another great name to already the best resume in division history. Just talked about that. Forgot I wrote that there. The top 10 discussions. Top 10 of all time, mind you. can truly be had with a win. Not only he'll have the best resume at bantamweight history, which is one of the toughest divisions in the UFC, and he will have the most title defenses in that division. And with a win Saturday, he's only going to keep adding to it. So this, he cannot afford this upset if he really wants to chase all-time greatness, okay? A loss, though, on the other hand, is probably the best thing for the UFC and entertainment factor for the fans. And look, we're going to talk about this for a second. I am not going to sit here and tell you Merab is boring. Because I personally don't think he is. I've been a fan for him for a while. Not even necessarily because of his fighting style. I think he's a funny guy. I think he's a goofy guy. I think he's cool. Says funny things. Pretty based. And his fighting style really isn't all that boring. But what's the other thing you get? Would you rather get Merab Umar 2? Merab Yan? Possibly Merab Bautista? With Bautista win over Umar? Or do you rather see Corey win, and we get that Yan fight again, which is sick, possible O'Malley fight, and just think about all the crazy matchups you get if Corey wins Saturday night. And that is what's best for business. It just is. Because no matter how great and awesome Merab is, you can't market him any more or any better, even though UFC doesn't try. I'm about sick of the promotion effort. It's pitiful. But what more can you do with Merab? As good as he is, and no matter how far he can claim or climb on the GOAT list, you're getting the most out of him already. You've been getting the most out of him. And it's not to... I think he's funny. I think he's an interesting cat, man. I think, honestly, he should be more popular, but that's just the truth. So, but a finish, or at least significantly improved striking, can flip everything out of that narrative. Because the quality and the excitement for future fights have a great chance to go up if he can get a finish, or at least improve striking, especially if he could knock out Corey on the feet and look a little slicker on the feet. Man, that can invert everything I just said, because then you're like, wow. Because he is well-rounded, but he's like, most of the greats are like, wow, so well-rounded. If he improves that striking significantly, I just think the fight qualities in his future defenses will be so much better, and the excitement will be so much better, especially with the finishing ability. And then when you mix in him, if you think of Merab with B+ striking, he's probably like a B-, or not, probably C+, B- with a B+ or an A- striking game. That changes a lot, and it is just better for everything if that happens. Now, let's move on to what is at stake for Jama. Alex Pereira. Poatan. If Alex can go out there and reclaim that title, there's huge fights on the horizon. If he can regain the title. I don't know why I said it like that. But, think of the possibility. Alex Pereira wins Saturday night. Tom Aspinall wins end of October. You gonna give Aspinall the winner of freaking Jailton Almeida and Alexander Volkov? He's already fought Volkov. Or are you gonna give him the light heavyweight champion, Alex Poatan Pereira, at possibly the White House? You know? Does that not get y'all a little perked up? Because it does me. And with a win, even though this is not what I necessarily want to see, but you're lying to yourself if you're saying this fight doesn't have hype or you wouldn't get excited for it. You got the Jon Jones fight because he wants to fight at the White House, even though he may not. I think he's going to come back. And I doubt that would happen, but Jon Jones at light heavyweight against Alex Pereira, it's a big fight, man. And we would still be saying he's ducking Aspinall, which is great because we get to keep saying that. It's funny. We can make fun of him, call him gay. But it's still a big fight, even though Aspinall would be way more likely if Poatan can reclaim the belt Saturday night. And who doesn't want big fights? So there you go. And his aura also can be gained back. That aura dropped. The meter went from here to That's it pooped itself, you know? The aura just went. It can be gained back with a knockout, though. Especially if he can get that patented left hook KO against Big Mog. That's a big deal because not only is he reclaiming the belt, not only will the UFC benefit greatly, and so will the fans, but you have a star again. Because this is make or break for Alex, I think. It just, like I said, with back-to-back losses to Magomed, all his aura will be gone. And the Chama aura will seem like a distant memory. Even with a boring decision win from Magomed, or if even Magomed goes out there and tunes him up, like I think is a good chance could happen, Pereira and the mystique and the aura will just seem like a distant memory. You will no longer have a star that has a chance to market and make big fights possible, get the fans more excited and entertained. All that will be gone. And also, to his benefit, very manageable fights in the future to add to his resume as champ if he's able to do it. I just wanted to touch on that real fast because Pereira wins. Oldberg for sure gets the title shot. And not only is that a very manageable fight and favorable fight for Pereira, it'd be a sick fight and a great build-up would be possible because you could market this as Oldberg, the protege of Israel Adesanya, Pereira's biggest enemy. So, oh shoot, my bad, guys. But I like this video. I'm doing good, man. But I want y'all to think about this stuff because you don't think about it. That's why I should run the UFC. I don't think about it. But save the best for last. Big Mog in the house. Woo, woo. Big Mog. Okay, Big Mog. Dude, Ali Abdelaziz, man, is just doing a good job for his tweets, man. And I want to preface this by saying I know, like, compared to the rest, I'm not going to say much about Mog, but it's just so much depends on this fight before you can even think about what's really at stake. This is what's at stake, but what's really at stake will be decided after this fight. Because you can't really, that's just thinking too far into it. So we're going to go ahead and stay a little more conformed in the box for this weekend. With a win, he has a chance to cruise to light heavyweight greatness because look at the top 15 of the light heavyweight division. You don't pick a single person to beat Magomed in the division. You don't. You just don't. He is a bad matchup for everybody. That's why he's so good. And the only chance any of these guys have, which will be Pereira and Yuri, is catching him. And I honestly think Yuri has the best chance to beat him with unorthodoxy, and his crazy jumping knees and stuff. Nevertheless, though, and even a possible double champ opportunity. Because you think about the UFC, right? Light heavyweight division without Pereira as champ, hard to market besides Yuri. Yuri's borderline superstar. We're going to see what happens this weekend. But what do you do with a guy like Magomed? You're the UFC, you're like, well, he's good fighter, great fighter, not very marketable, not the most exciting, not totally boring, but he's just kind of in this no man's land as promotability and excitement for a fighter goes, right? What do? Who's Tom Aspinall going to fight? Magomed Ankalaev. So, he has with a win, he has a dang good chance for a double champ opportunity. So, that's just a lot at stake for him and his legacy, man. And he has a chance to have a very, very, very good legacy, possible GOATness, man. And I think if he goes out there and wins, knockout or boring decision, he could become one of the biggest heels in the UFC. And you combine that with Yuri's rise in superstardom, I think that could lead to a very big fight between the two. If he does right in a post-fight interview with a look like, he just has to say the right thing. Because a lot of people don't like him just because he beat Pereira. And a lot of people are not going to like him again if he beats Pereira. So I think he has a big chance to be a heel, and I think he needs to go that route. Because it just makes it more fun for everybody, especially more casual people who want to, just to root against him. And some people like heels, and, you already have your fan base that you'll always have, Muslim guys, so you have that, of course. And, if he becomes heel, that just adds some flavor to future fights. So I think if he can nail that, that'd be a good deal just for UFC fans in the sport in general. But if he suffers a knockout loss, especially a knockout loss or just a decisive loss, he will be stuck in the no man's land of the division because the UFC will do everything in their power to not give him favorable matchups, and he's so unmarketable. Sadly, or not really sadly, I don't care that much, but some people you'll think sadly, they're not going to want him to fight for the belt again because they don't want him as champion. And if you don't think the UFC doesn't want him as champion, you obviously don't watch the sport and don't keep up with it that well. But if he wins this weekend, barring a crazy Yuri unexpected knockout possibly in the future, he will not lose for years, man, unless he fights Aspinall up a weight division. There's nobody flying through the ranks in the light heavyweight division that has a chance against him. So really, Ankalaev, he's really at this point chasing personal greatness for himself. That's really what's at stake for him. And of course you can say that's always at stake. But sometimes there's other added pressures or really big headlines you can make with one singular win or loss. But for Mog, not so much. But nevertheless, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you came back to the channel after my little hiatus. And, man, I'm just so excited for these fights this weekend. We had a whole month without a pay-per-view. When there's UFC pay-per-view, my life's just a little bit better, a little more excitement, So, please like, subscribe. Cino MMA, the best MMA YouTuber there is and ever was. I love you. God is good. Y'all have a great